On today's show, we're walking into the boondocks of Ontario, near the shores of Rainy Lake, in search of ruffed grouse. Someone said those Canadian ruffed grouse are dumb. Think not.
Great winter comfort food.
And later, Wild in the Kitchen prepares venison tenderloin to your liking. And our Minnesota-bound classic this week remembers a day of hunting with Frank Taylor and his birds of prey. Those stories and more, next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's Select GMC dealers.
Hi everybody, Raven and I welcome you to the show. Raven is going to star in our first story, by the way. You know, rough grouse hunting is big time in Minnesota, so you figure if it's big in Minnesota, let's go north into Ontario where the grouse perhaps are dumber, right? Nice plan.
An American bird hunter knows no boundaries. And when you're after rough grouse, this includes international borders.
I just switched my car to metric. You might know what that means. Welcome to Canada.
Seeking rough grouse in northern Ontario, Canada also offers something else. A needle in a haystack. The haystack in this case is miles upon miles of wilderness-like woodland as far as the eye can see. The bird is the needle, of course, because the haystack is where grouse live. All right, Sean.
Okay.
You're the guide. Sean Lessard is an unabashed grouse zealot and operates a grouse hunting camp on the shores of Ontario's Rainy Lake.
Just since a young age, I've always enjoyed walking in the woods and enjoyed the aspect of whether you're alone or with somebody else to go after some grouse.
Raven the black lab is ready to go, and 30 seconds later...
Is that the bird standing right there? Did you see it?
Yep.
Did it go down, you think?
I don't know. I thought I saw feathers come down, but
Okay.
could have been leaves too. But
If it's there, she'll find it. Boy, what a jungle this is here.
We walked about 15 steps and a grouse came out of here, and Sean got a crack at it, and we think we saw a feather go down, but we're not sure. And I got Raven in here.
Find it, dead bird. Find it.
Raven's search is in vain. Dang it. That grouse disappeared in 2 wing beats and probably wasn't hit at all.
I tell you, the grouse has every advantage in this country here.
they have a certain reputation of being a little dumber bird. However, they can actually be very smart. You know, when they flush, especially if they're on the roadway, you know, they don't flush usually in front of you. They go to the thickest part they can imagine, and they find themselves in very small places, and they're very, very hard to see.
We walked on, taking the easy path, an old logging road into the bush.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
No wind, a little cool.
Then quicker than you can say grouse,
I think he might have winged that on the right wing. Wait. He's right up in that tree, Ron.
Is it really?
Yep, I can see it right here. There's a kind of a crook in the pine, right above that.
Well, let me wander in there if I can.
He's on the bottom third of that tree.
Wow. Whew. Oh, Sean, that's one we probably should have had, huh?
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't see him sitting in the tree until you came over there.
Yeah.
And then he took off, and they're just like a flash, and I let it rip.
And what's amazing is the amount of camouflage they have.
Well, yeah.
You just can't see them.
Grouse are winning so far, buddy.
When we return, we'll continue our grouse hunt in the Ontario boondocks. Boondocks as thick as the hair on Raven's back.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers, Ice Force, Star Bank, Radco Truck Accessories, and by Evinrude, the official outboard motor of Minnesota Bound.
All right, it's time to continue our Ontario rough grouse hunt. Now, the grouse were there, just, you know, you had trouble seeing them half the time.
Sean, I got Rainy Lake here, Minnesota side.
Hunting rough grouse in Ontario's wild country calls for a plan. And joining us is Lee Felicetta, a Minnesota friend and a fellow grouse zealot.
The first thing I like about it, whether it's Minnesota and now Canada, which we are in, is the fact that you're free. You can hunt just about anywhere because most of the land is public land.
A good map also helps. It might be land open to hunting, but it's big land.
Well, I know one thing, we're not going to get grouse looking at a map. Let's go get them, Lee.
A few miles later, through a sea of aspen,
You ready to go, Lee? This looks like a good spot.
When I don't hear the bell and it stops, I know she's on point, so that's why I like the bell. Plus, you can always locate her. Yes, find some birds.
Had a lot of success on this trail itself. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Usually means they're moving around. There was one there.
Twiggy was sniffing good, but old or even recent bird scent doesn't count. Seems the grouse were skittish and smart.
I see that one. Why don't you go ahead and take that one, Sean? If it flushes, I'll stay with her.
You bumped it.
Yes, but more grouse were showing up.
Is that a bird?
Yep.
Okay.
Lee can take it.
Twiggy, here. That's a good miss.
By all means, if you're gonna miss, might as well make it a good miss. But Lee isn't the only shotgunner who can miss. It was my turn.
See him up there? See him sitting up there?
Did he go down? What do you know? A miracle. I think we got one.
No, we didn't. Despite our dog power, the bird was not found. Possibly, it wasn't even touched by the 7.5 shot from our 20 gauge.
Well, here's a short trail that I've shot birds off before. It hooks up a little bit and then it gets too thick to walk. We're just going to try to see if we can flush any.
This time, Sean took a trail by himself without a dog.
Dogs in some environments are, you need one. Looking at this trail right now, it is thick. You're going to be lucky if they flush this way or...
And when they do,
Coming up the trail there, one flush to my right. After I shot, I noticed my first shot missed. I think it was the second shot that took him down. It's a beautiful bird. Really is. Every once in a while when I'm slow walking too, I'll just stop. Because if the grouse, if they're spooked, they'll hold tight, but if you stop, it's almost as if they don't know what you're gonna do and they flush themselves.
a short walk later,
There's one up on the road. Two of them. Well, we had 2 on the road, and the one spotted me pretty quick and he buggered off into the bush. And the other one, I don't think he quite knew what to make of me. He flushed and went straight into this way. I took 2 shots and I'm not sure if I got him or not. We'll find out. I would take a dog at this point, absolutely. Because there's a good chance that he went in here if I did hit him, and he's hunkered down underneath something.
While Lee and I are blanked on our trail, Sean returns with 2 grouse, but one very different.
Red face has got a little bit of it in here, but not more in the rump. Now here's a totally different bird, right, Lee?
That is a totally different bird, and they're totally different than rough
Look at
grouse
that.
because they hold really tight.
But they live in the same habitat. This is the spruce grouse, they call it. Beautiful bird.
As the day ended, the score of this hunting game was our team, 2 birds down, Team Grouse, lots of birds, still flying.
Hunting's not killing, it's hunting, so you might walk a trail and get 0. You never know. About medium rare.
Coming up, got venison? Time to make the perfect tasting venison tenderloin. That's next.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Connecticut.
Time now to go wild in the kitchen. All the deer seasons are over, so your freezer is full of venison, right? What about those tenderloins? How to cook them the right way? Jim and Laura have the recipe.
It's time to get wild in the kitchen. I'm here with Chef Jim Kinberg from Firelight Grill House and Cocktail Bar. And Chef Jim, last month we were cooking with whiskey, and this month we are cooking with red wine. I have to say I like where this is going. So we're making venison tenderloin. Tell me some of the ingredients that are in this recipe.
We've got some great winter-inspired ingredients. So we're going to be accenting with a little roasted root vegetables. We're going to be doing a sauce with the roasted grapes, cooked down with a little red wine reduction, little beef stock in there. So great winter comfort food.
All right, how do we get started?
We're going to get started. Notice there's just a little bit of silver skin on there. I want to trim that off because that's going to be a little chewy. We're just going to season with some salt and pepper. All right, we want to get a nice sear on there. Some good extra virgin olive oil, and you want to hear that nice sizzle. It's going to be about 3 minutes on each side. That's about 3 turns. I'm going to give this a little peek and look at that nice crust we got going on there. Don't worry about that, that's all right. I've got just like 1 little garlic clove in there. Got some fresh thyme. Got some fresh rosemary. This is just going to kind of season the oil that it's searing in. And then what we're going to do is kind of take that oil and just baste it. So look at that, we got another crust on the other side. Next step, so these are just some nice red grapes we got. Put them right in the pan. So now we're going to put it in the oven, 400 degrees, and we want to cook it to an internal temperature, 130 degrees. About medium rare, 130 degrees. One of the most important steps beyond the searing is the resting. And that's also going to give us just enough time to make our sauce. So we're going to take those herbs, we're just going to remove them from the pan. You've got all that flavor kind of baked down to the bottom of that. And if you'd be so kind, why don't you pour like about 1/3 of a cup, so maybe half of that. And then we're going to do the same with the beef stock. Get all those flavors released from the bottom of the pan, and then we're going to let that reduce. So if you notice, it's cooked down to like a syrup consistency. So for plate up, I've got some of these great little roasted root vegetables. There's some parsnips. We're just going to make like 3 nice little piles. Then we're going to take our tenderloin. Let's see how we did. So here's the real test.
Wow, look at that.
We got that nice medium rare interior. All right, and then we got the roasted grapes. We're just going to kind of pool right around those medallions. A little fresh Italian parsley on there. And look at that. Give that a try.
Hey, there we go. That is so good. Once again, Jim, you have outdone yourself. This is absolutely delicious. So there you have it. Instead of drinking all your red wine, you may just try cooking with it. It's so easy, yet so wildly delicious.
Coming up, our Minnesota Bound Classic recalls the sport of kings with Minnesota's hawk guy, Frank Taylor. Stay with us.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Borderview Lodge, Ellsworth Creamery, and by Totem Resorts.
Time now for our Minnesota Bound Classic, and when we think of hunting, we think of hunters using firearms or bows and arrows, right? What about a hunter who uses a hawk? Well, our own Frank Taylor shows you the way.
Usually you can call them in, they'll take a look. There he's turning around looking at us.
If it flies, it soars in the heart of Frank Taylor.
This is pretty tough going in here.
If falconry is the sport of kings, Frank Taylor is His Highness of Minnesota. Falconry adorns his walls
Of course, all my falconry books,
and fills his books.
from one written in 1250 by Frederick II of Hohenstaufen, the first piece done on falconry in the U.S., a National Geographic, 1920. And it's one of the times they started using, the first time, color pictures of falconry. I'm kind of proud of this one. There's not a lot of us around. This is a tradition that's been handed down for, 4,000 years. And when we fly this bird, much of the equipment the bird is wearing and that we use with it is the same as it was, 2,000 years ago. So it really gives you a connection with antiquity. And this is Zorro. He's a Harris hawk. He's 2 years old. I got him from the World Bird Sanctuary down in St. Louis, Missouri, where he was bred in captivity down there.
A federal state permit is required to possess these birds of prey.
In the sport of falconry, it's not a pet keeping situation because these birds don't make pets. They show very little loyalty to us. They basically want to play their role in the food chain and allow us to tag along and tolerate us to the point where they let us watch what they do.
In the bird world, these are feathered jets designed to hunt with speed, beak, and claw.
That's where the word raptor comes from. It's from the Latin word rapere, meaning to grasp. And it's birds that get their food through grabbing it with their feet.
It's also easy to see why, after 4,000 years, those of us bound to the ground continue to marvel at the poetry of the raptor's flight.
And it's a way to hunt that's a lot of fun. It's pretty fair. The quarry gets away most of the time. What you're watching is that design of nature, the beauty of this bird, how it fits into its environment and how it goes after its quarry, but also how the quarry has evolved to evade the hawk.
Each raptor species hunts to match its aerial skills.
Say if you're using a hawk like this, you're hunting in brushy areas. He's got a long tail for steering around the brush, fairly short wings so he can go through the woods.
They could be right in these trees. They tuck under this stuff. Look at it. They can get under here easy.
If you're flying a falcon, they've got long wings, short tail. They're built for speed.
Here we go.
So you fly them from what's called a waiting on position. You release the falcon over a dog that's on point.
Come on, Oak. Hiya, come on.
In ancient times, of course, the kings were hoping the raptors would hunt down the next royal feast. Tasty breast of pheasant, perhaps.
Beautiful, boys, beautiful. That's pretty good.
But remember, these are birds with bird-sized brains.
Now you gotta get up on this, buddy. Not the car, you can't use that. We're closing that up. Here we go. Come on, Skip. Good boy. Ooh, there goes a mouse.
History books don't tell us this, but 4,000 years ago may have been the first feast not fit for a king.
He got it. And he's got his mouse. There we go. All right.
You know, Frank has been using birds to hunt for a long, long time. He has the patience of an oak tree, I swear. Well, that about does it for us. Remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors. I'm Ron Schara, and of course, always the star of the show. And I think she knows it. Raven, yes, that's a good one.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. For more information on these stories and more, catch us on the web at mnbound.com.